Hello. Okay, all right, enough applause for me. Real quick, let's get some applause for the tech team. They've been great for me all weekend. And also, can we get a shout out for this Pokemon trainer in the front row? Shiny Stantler right now in Crystal. Sorry if that embarrassed you, but grats, like no. Important thing, after the end of this panel, I'm not going to be hanging around. I'm going to be going straight out those doors and into the line for Eye Patch Wolf's panel, which is in this room immediately after. So feel free to do a U-turn with me. So what is this panel? This is Silkposting, and right, one other thing. I want to thank you all for showing up here and not going to Tally's panel over in the main stage. So take that. So this panel is titled Silkposting, a Culture of Trolling. It's going to be a little bit silly. It's going to be a little bit goofy. I chose this one to kind of reflect my, a lot of people, when will come up to my table and they'll comment like, hey, so your videos, they're really kind of like academic, erudite, respectful, you know, mature, professional. And then your Twitter feed. What's up with that? I like absurdity, and so this is a bit of a love letter to absurdist humor, and no promises. We might have an announcement at the end. So to start, the sort of root subject here is Silksong, which probably real. In 2013, Ari Wilson and William Pellin did a game jam where they came up with a concept for a game that would become Hollow Knight. In 2014, they did a Kickstarter and raised 57,000 AUD, Australian dollars, so about 12 American. Those of us from the Commonwealth are allowed to make those jokes about our own currency. They would recruit a couple other people and become Team Cherry, but up to today, Team Cherry has never really consisted of more than like 3 people at a time plus a composer. So the things that they managed to accomplish with such a small force are very impressive. Who here has played Hollow Knight? Yeah, pretty good game. I just played it for the first time myself earlier this year, and like I was really drawn in by it. I was really sucked in. I saw why suddenly all of the like hype and fervor over Silksong made a little bit of sense. So during that Kickstarter, so 57,000 AUD raised. One of the stretch goals, the last stretch goal that they successfully reached was a second playable character. With unique quests and abilities, and this was supposed to be the character Hornet that you meet throughout the game. Over the course of a couple years following the game's release, game comes out 2017, and then over the course of the next few months, the scope of this stretch goal becomes DLC, kind of on the level of like God Home and the other free DLCs expansions that they released for the game. And then in 2019, they announced that it had completely blown out of scope and was now just a full-on sequel. And then Team Cherry, they posted a holiday sign-off in 2019 and then disappeared. For lack of a better word. Like I took this, I remembered I didn't have the screen. I took this like this afternoon. This is still, this is not manufactured in any way. This is still the most recent post on teamcherry.com. So hopefully that'll change soon. But so they signed off in 2019, and aside from the odd thing here and there, kind of went radio silent. And so the passionate, loyal, excitable fan base for Hollow Knight lost their minds. According to Wikipedia, in internet culture, shitposting or trash posting is the act of using an online forum or social media page to post content Is it the night? Is it no one Radiance isn't here. Okay, good. Act of using an online forum or social media page to post content that is of aggressively, ironically, and trollishly poor quality. Shit posts are generally intentionally designed to derail discussions or cause the biggest reaction with the least effort. So all communities have some vein of this. It's basically a form of in-jokes, internal humor, self-deprecation, and I just find the specific manifestation of that within the Silksong community to be delightful. And we really need to shout out the king of this, Sean Vids, who in 2021 tweeted, wasn't expecting Silksong news today. This was during, so April, so that would have been during E3 that year? And it was pretty effective. Why would you do this to me? This is evil. This is just cruel, Sean. Some other things I can't say on a all ages stream. And then he did it again the next year. Okay, but you know, and it worked. It worked pretty well. And then he did it again the year after. I mean, why stop firing if you don't stop missing? Okay, so he did this, so you can see the dates there, 2023, 22, 24, he did this a bunch. This might surprise you. There was no Silksong news August 27th, 2024. So, and of course, I mean, like, with humor this brilliant, you know, another solid contribution to the catalog, and of course, like, other people get inspired. And so other internet personalities maybe jump on the trend. The thing is Harry actually got. There were a lot of people who were like, okay, Harry was joking. He was riffing off of Sean's joke. But what if? So March 23rd, 2025 did cause some people some anxiety. So now, one of the ways that what I've done is I've curated a selection of what I think are some of the best Silk posts. And of course, I need to start it with a giant wall of text. You will understand about halfway through. Oh, and also, sorry, one other thing. A lot of these come from, I need to shout out a specific person, Reddit user E1331. If you participate in the Silksong or Hollow Knight communities, very prolific poster, very funny. A lot of these are theirs. If you're in the crowd, oh no. Are you here? Okay. We would like to, so this is a social media post from Team Cherry. We would like to address the elephant in the room. Like many of you know, we have been quiet for quite some time. The reason for it was simple. Our unending supply of ideas that we continuously poured into this project that we love. In the last 5 years, it expanded beyond our wildest dreams, and now, after the ground has settled, we finally feel comfortable to share what we have been working on all this time, something we are truly proud of. We are happy to announce the Silksong NFTs Collection 1 is finally coming out, 19th of August 2024. To mint one of our exclusive Silksong NFTs, Collection 1, you have to recruit at least 5 other Silksong fans that are willing to join the community. And here is the best part. For every recruit over the beginning threshold, you get 10 Silksong NFTs, Collection 1, completely for free. To show you how much we appreciate you and your support, to every owner of Silkies, no matter of the collection, we will be able to join the exclusive Discord where you get to connect with the community. Beautiful, beautiful, brilliant, and like, so I think this is a great example of like what really makes a good Silk post. Because like there's that deeper layer in there. Like one, yes, it's absurd to announce an NFT collection. It would be a huge disappointment to a lot of the community. But also to do it in August of 2024. Great timing. You know, timing is everything in comedy. So one of the great genres within this, one of the great subgenres is making up fake streams. So this is it at its very basic level. We missed this, implying that 5 hours ago, or that several hours ago, Leth, one of the developers, streamed Silksong for just 5 straight hours. And that's enough to get, so the core of a good Silk post, inside its humor, is what you were attempting to do is bait people into having hope. And then crush it. You want you want it to be just real enough that they look and they go, oh, and then it's like, wait, I can't find the VOD. Where is it? I need it. I want it. Why can't I find it? Slight variant on that is the genre of are they even working on the game anymore? Such as this fake stream of Ari just opening Pokemon cards for 31 viewers. Or if you if you can't read the title due to the resolution, the title of this fake stream is "Today We Rank Female Cartoon Hotties." Little Friday slots with the community. There isn't even anything deeper to this. I don't know. Just the idea of Ari like losing a ton of money streaming gambling. Why is it so funny? It's great. This one is a great example of like how. So the last few have been, you know, you don't really need to know what's going on to sort of understand why someone would be dismayed that like I told you they're great. Is that why I've been getting the... Okay, yes. The last few have been like pretty explicable. Like you can understand them even if you have no idea what like the internal vocabulary of this community is. This one is utterly incomprehensible. But it is very funny if you understand. Okay, so during Nintendo Direct this last spring, William changed his profile picture on Twitter to a piece of chocolate cake and then tweeted, "So excited for Nintendo Direct tomorrow, keep your eyes closed." You know, riffing on the fact that like, there's not gonna be any news. However, as those of you who watch my videos might be familiar with, humans are pattern-seeking animals and will invent patterns where they don't exist. And so in the course of about 45 minutes, the community convinced themselves that this tweet was a ARG, and that if they figured it out, buried within it was, of course, going to be a Silksong release date tied to Nintendo Direct. And after several days of miscommunication, it led to deliberate misinformation, such as this fake apology about the chocolate cake tweet. And it's like, just utterly incomprehensible. So I have tried to curate out, even though I find this one very funny, I've tried to curate out the ones that just don't make sense or require way too much explanation. So our next genre would be fake gameplay. So these are jokes predicated on, like, the game is out and I am playing it right now and I'm hitting some kind of hurdle. To make the ideal target of these is somebody who, like, is anticipating Silksong but isn't, like, on Reddit every single day following the ins and outs. They're just like, oh, that's coming out someday, and they're not even aware that the fact it doesn't have a release date is a point of drama. And so they just kind of, like, drive by, see something like this, and they go, oh, Silksong must be out. I missed it. And then they get sucked in. They get sucked into the hole. They get got. And so you get this one. A lot of them also, yeah, so... a lot of them invent mechanics and tie into sort of broader frustrations about video games and the way they sometimes work. Some of them go a little deeper. Like, you know, you sort of a root of a bunch of these jokes, a great root of a bunch of these jokes is just like, what if is addressing an anxiety that exists, like a real anxiety that exists within any community anticipating something, which is, what if it comes out and then it's not any good, right? And so to relieve that stress, particularly when you've been when you've been waiting this long, is to create versions of it where, like, it is oh wait, no, that's something different, where it is just kind of like weird and bad and not what you're expecting. And then we've got the subvariant here of, like, hey, just you make up something fake that makes it look like it's available right now. But so on the, anxiety, which you're trying to relieve, what if it's bad? Sometimes you imagine it being, I'm getting ahead of myself. I've got, like, I keep thinking it's the next slide that's got the punchline to this joke, and it's not. This one's just a self-contained joke. What if it's out and I've installed a horny mod? But so what if it comes out and it's terrible? What if it's, like, the worst type of game imaginable? Yeah, just process the layers. I was in the middle of the scenario there is perfect. Like, what you're in the middle of a boss fight and you get one of these ad pop-ups. You know, buy it with gems, get back to fighting. Brilliant. All right, so our next subgenre, fake social media. Pretty straightforward, just a post that's, like, implying that they're actually, like, you know, that there was a tweet or something about a beta test. And this is photoshopped from an actual, like, Hollow Knight beta test event. That one I cannot explain that on an all ages. I forgot which of my two panels was 13 plus, and it's not this one. Like I said, timing is really important, so you gotta slide it in at the end. Silksong will be released as a PSP exclusive. It's coming back. So this one's a little touchy. There was, I do not understand the full scope of it. There was something about voice it was predicated on like misinformation. It was a whole hullabaloo. And so again, just a fake apology. They use AI generated voices in Silksong to prevent situations like voice actor drama. So this is just the bluntest kind of bait, which is like there's no twist here, right? Like this is just straight up a fake tweet. And this one immediately got called out with, it's like your bait is weak. A lot of Mad Max reaction gifs. So you have got to include a twist. Like, all three of these are just fake tweets, but this one's the best of them. By just leaving it poking in at the edges there, the like edit source screen still just kind of visible on the edge there. Like come on. Yeah. We all know what we're doing. Ooh, no. So this is just this is the last of, I believe this is the last of the fake social media posts. This is just one announcing that Team Cherry has switched its directive from producing the video game Silksong into world domination. No, there will be no further communication. Now, I can't give you the full explanation of this fake social media tweet, but Matthew, if you're listening, when it does happen, you have a chance to do the funniest thing. Like it's right there, Matt. It's right there. You can just grab it. Our next little genre. This is we're drifting away from the fakes and the frauds and the things meant to bait people into just a little bit more of the in humor. So this is going to be a series of jokes that really the community built for themselves, which is the template variant. So the origin of this is that someone swung by I used the wrong one to start. Someone swung by the Team Cherry offices and took this photo outside the door and was just like, hey, and just posted it like, hey, I'm at the Team Cherry offices. Do you think they'll let me in? And then like never posted anything else ever again. And so that photo then became the template for a whole host of manipulations. So this one where the lights are off, the Team Cherry sign is gone. And that's why I realize now it was a bad one to start with. Because it just looks like an empty office. But it then becomes a template for a lot of variants. And again, like these are people who they're really excited for this video game and they just need to cope. No. What the hell is, and it's just, it's so dumb. Why is it so good? Like, yeah. And if you were to try to explain sort of the humor of this to like your mom, she would hopefully tell you to touch grass. Because like, where do you first you have to explain what a man cave is. So all of a sudden you're sitting there like explaining How I Met Your Mother and what's his name, Barney Benson, is that Simpson? Stinson, right. I'm thinking Barry B. Benson, the main character of B Movie. So one time for Crystal's birthday, I took over her Twitch channel. No, for my birthday. For my birthday, I took over her Twitch channel and streamed B Movie for 13 hours. The B Movie video game for the Wii. And there's one moment where there's a QuickTime event where in the movie Barry barely avoids getting stuck in some guacamole and eaten by Superman. This is translated into video game form in the form of a QuickTime event that's about 3 seconds long. So like you get stuck in the guacamole and then you've got about 3 seconds to react before you get eaten and it's a game over. The Wii is actually an extremely well-optimized piece of hardware, and so loading screens practically non-existent in many titles. So if you just kind of like take your hands off the controller, it'll reset back to Barry getting eaten, like, and you can just walk away and leave stream watching this QuickTime event fail for like, I don't know, how long do you think a stream could like endure that kind of Silkposting? Because the answer is somewhere around 45 minutes. Anyway, so you would need to explain How I Met Your Mother, which would explain like the rise of like the bro code, and then a man cave, and then, you know, eventually you work down to explaining why this is epic. And every now and then, other game communities come into the Silksong community to use their own Silkposting. There's some crossover episodes. So, and then there's this great one that this turned into a long-running. Okay, so somebody posted that they've got, you know, a bunch of beta keys, and then they started just handing them out by just reposting a screenshot of a beta key, and it became a great long-running internal in-joke of just like, hey, it's like, here, have a beta key, and they would just like use it as a reaction image, and so yeah, so it's 4:28, which we got through that kind of right about when we thought we would. So, who wants a beta key? No, I don't have any beta keys. We are going to do a Q&A at oh, wait. No, there we go. Okay, wait. Hello? No, speaker. Hello? I guess it wasn't important. Okay. Okay, so we do have a mic here for Q&A. We've got a good bit of time for Q&A. So there we go. So that's a love letter to Silkposting, a very just wonderful and absurd little strain of internet humor. Just I wanted to do this little presentation because, like, not everything needs to be big and important, and not everything needs to really, like, not everything needs to have a point. Sometimes, like, just making other people, like, laugh or have a laugh at themselves, like being able to get a good reaction out of someone as they go like, wait, did I just get had? Oh, you got me. Oh, Sean. Oh, you got me again, Sean. And soon Sean's time with that will be an end. I'm reasonably certain it'll come out this year. So they said 2025, which means but no month. That means December. So we have a microphone here for any Q&A about Silkposting or about the channel. It's only on this one side. We've got 24 minutes. We've got 24 minutes. So we've got, based on my normal answers, we've got time for about 2.5. So if you want to line up, and if you don't want to line up, if literally no one has a question and no one wants to line up, we can just sit here and play 4 in a row, legally distinct from Connect 4. I can just sit here and play it against myself. And you can just watch. They can just throw it up on the camera. We can get it nice and tight. So, yes.
Hey, so what do you think Silkposting has in its future post-release? Is it kind of have a future? Because people seem pretty dedicated to it. They've been dedicated to it for a long time. Is it something that could continue, or is it kind of like a fleeting piece of art, like an ice sculpture or latte art?
I think it's both fleeting, like it'll change and adapt. It'll just become new. It'll develop new genres, new subgenres, new strains. It'll continue to evolve within the community. Every community has its own internal in jokes that come and go. So I think this specific version of bait is gonna, like, its time is limited, and that's okay. Yeah. Not everything needs to last forever.
I thought it was funny because watching some of the most recent Nintendo Direct, the reaction on the subreddit was excitement, but some of it was realization that they might actually have to start acting like a normal subreddit.
Yes, they might, right, because like, this is, like, it is worth noting, like, these were not taken from some dedicated, like, Circle Jerk subreddit. These are all just r/Silksong. Like, this is just what the Silksong subreddit is.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Hi, Dan. I'd like to first say, Bapanada.
Bampanada.
And I guess my question is, there's been a lot of games that have had these famously long development cycles, but I feel like not many communities have been quite this deranged. What it is about Hollow Knight specifically you think that caused this level of mass psychosis?
I think part of it comes down to the fact that because Hollow Knight was kickstarted, that was not the sole source of development funds. They also got some money from, like, arts fund, like an Australian arts grant and some other places. But I think that Kickstarter, like, the roots in, like, the idea started in a game jam, and then there was a Kickstarter, and the team never got big enough to even, like, fill a Prius. Means that there's, like, a tremendous amount of, like, social co-ownership in the community, like that Hollow Knight really feels like a thing being made in a very personal way. Like, everybody who built it can talk to each other without even, like, being a cacophony. And so the distance between, like, them and the community is, or at least was, like, a very short distance. And so there's a parasociality there that has its pros and has its cons. No doubt, like, kind of the dark side of all of this is that it has likely put incalculable stress on the creative attention of those people, and which is why I'm really hoping it comes out. Like, I'm hoping it's a really good game. They deserve the rest. and sort of the release of sort of creative fulfillment, and I hope that works out for them. But yeah, I think it comes down to that sort of perceived co-ownership, like social co-ownership, that closeness to the like production of it that has kind of led to the very peculiar strain of derangement that is a lot closer to like how you would roast your like immediate friends. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hello again. So, kind of the opposite question. Aside from the Hollow Knight community, what other community that you've seen do you think has had just the funniest slide into psychosis over something? Yeah, but that's the easy answer.
Sorry, which one? Psychonauts? What happened to the Psychonauts community? Well, now, right, there was. Well, but okay, but like I played the first one when it came out, and there was not really like an expectation of a sequel. Like that wasn't sort of. I mean, maybe they lost their minds while I wasn't looking. That would be interesting. I'm trying to think of. If we want to talk about communities that have got into okay, how to fit this within the boundaries so that Jerry doesn't show up at my house. The current expansion of World of Warcraft revolves around an antagonist named Xalatath, who is an ancient demon, dark lord, shadow entity. It's kind of unclear at the moment. They're teasing it, who has taken over. She used to be stuck in a knife, but she got out and took over an elf. So she's a possesses the body of a formerly dead elf, and has something against shoes. And whoever is scripting the camera for this expansion's cutscenes, there's a lot of toes. There's been a lot of toes this expansion, and so it's causing a rift in the community. There are those who are pro-toe, and those who just wish the toes would go away. And both sides are raised some good points, I guess. And the thing is that you got to be careful because you don't know who in your guild might be pro-toe. So some of them might be watching. Yeah. I don't know if that's an answer, but let's move on.
I couldn't have hoped for better.
Hello. Did you notice about 14 minutes ago the release date was announced for Silksong?
Nope, not taking the bait. Good.
It's real, trust me.
Sorry to anyone who is planning a variant of that joke. Got there first. You gotta. The skong goes to those who chase it fastest.
First, I just want to thank you for being at least half as insane as the rest of us in here who do participate in the subreddit, because that is truly a crazy place. So thanks for at least being part of that. My question, are you truly a believer or a doubter?
No, I do think it's kind of like they made the announcement 2025. I think so. This is me stepping back into my it's like as a creative person, as a person who like makes things professionally. I think at this point if they had basically 5 years of effective radio silence, they're not gonna break that for like, what's the difference between 5 years and 6? Like, at the end of the day, they're not gonna break that unless they actually see the end in sight. So when they said, 2025, I believe them. I just also know that if somebody says 2025 in March, and they don't put a date on there, if they don't put like a month,
It's probably
it means December. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, what's your silk posting ult? Because at this point,
Oh,
you had to have
I
done
still
something.
post on main. Yeah.
Truly courageous.
Okay, so my question is, the best explanation of what a YouTube poop is uses
Yep.
your face at the end of the LE Spectacular video, Dolson Ideas.
Dolson, oh God. Okay, highlight of my career was when someone's like, you were in a YouTube poop. I'm like, oh, okay, that's neat. What did they use? It's like, no, actually, you are a YouTube poop. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, it's all you. And I'm like desperately looking for opportunities to weave the phrase good Christian drugs into something just somewhere, because like, my God, it was brilliant. I've never been roasted so hard and so glad to get roasted.
Okay, pizza, the famous and popular food.
You mentioned Titanfall 3, and within like just the last month, there was another sequel cancellation. And I wanted to ask, like, if there was never another sequel, or if Silksong just like never got it, what would like the end point of community cope like that be in like silk posting or?
So the endpoints for these kinds of things tend to be at least a little bit more like, okay, unlike if we're going to contrast to another well of endless cope, which would be meme stocks. So meme stocks are an endless well of eternal cope, but the people who sort of, I don't want to say have control of the narrative, but the people who are like kind of above the posters in the narrative, so like the CEOs of the companies, the people who work at like the banks and the brokers and whatnot, they're ultimately like very disconnected, and they're never gonna like just go on Twitter and be like, GameStop's canceled, right? Like that's just not gonna happen. So those narratives become eternal and like very, very, very difficult to dispel. In a video game context, that's not really a problem, because like Team Cherry can just be like, hey, sorry, game's canceled. We all got in a huge fight and we're not friends anymore, and it's never being made, right? Like that can happen. Like you can in fact just have straight up closure. And so at that point, like it's basically like, for the genre of humor, it's basically the same as if the game does come out, which is that like one phase of what kind of joke works stops working, and they just move on to a different kind, which would be if the game got canceled, my prediction, because this is what I would post, would be, hey, I managed to find a leaked like work version. I was in Melbourne and I found this like stray hard drive. Like I would basically take the thumb drive at the Dallas medieval times. I would just take that story and adapt it to include like a copy of the game that then like I'm inventing things that were within it, and of course I would make it. I would spin a narrative where like the game was going to be both like really good but also awful in some other like very specific ways. Like it might have a few too many toes in it, an uncomfortable number of toes.
Hey, how's it going? A slide in your presentation inspired a question for me in the fake Twitch stream. In the camera icon, you can see very obviously he is holding a Guitar Hero controller,
Yeah.
which is very funny.
Oh,
I
so
just wanted-
those are assembled from just people build them from like old actual streams. But
Yeah,
those are
yeah.
streams from,
No,
like,
I just thought that
7,
was
8
part of
years
the
ago.
joke for sure.
Yeah.
But maybe you want to ask, what are your thoughts on that kind of play where people will use, like they will play Dark Souls with bananas hooked up to electric diodes, or Twitch plays or things like that where people interact with video games in ways that are completely unintentional like that?
I tried to, so I did a speed run of a bad video game called Amy. Yeah, it's awful. And after I like finished that, so I presented that at Games Done Quick, Summer Games Done Quick, a bunch of years back. And then after I got home, I was like, do I try and do it with a steering wheel? And then I tried it once, and I was like, no, I don't do it with a steering wheel. It's already hard enough to control with a real controller. No, I think it's interesting to me when I am a little bit fascinated by players who are able to commit to a single game so long that they reach that level of expertise where they're able to just inject that kind of above and beyond challenge where it's like they turn it into like this ergonomic challenge. But also part of it, this is the secret, is that it's not as hard as it looks. Like you find a good, you want to find like a good match, and then the thing is, who's ever watched their like mom try to play a first-person shooter? Whoever said, like, there's got to be at least one other person here, in addition to me, who said, oh, Mom, Portal is like, it's a really funny, easy to get into game. You know, there's no violence. You're just kind of solving puzzles, and it's really funny, and it's a lot of fun, and it's not terribly long. It'd be a great game for you to get into. Like, did anybody else have that conversation? Okay, a couple other people, like, yeah, with Portal specific, and then you're like, okay, here you go, here's my laptop, here's a mouse. You sit down, and then you're watching her, like, walk, like, this into walls, and it's like, no, you use the mouse to, like, look at things, and so she stops, looks around, and you're like, oh, you don't physically know how to do this, right? So like using a video game controller, using a keyboard and mouse, these are already like kind of weird and kind of like specialized ergonomic activities. And so changing that from being a controller or a keyboard and mouse into being, bongos or a controller that looks like a guitar, is not as extreme necessarily as it seems, and the big barrier there is then just like the mental barrier of like, oh well, this is impossible. It's a Guitar Hero controller, but it's not. Like that's yeah. Good question. Interesting thing to think about.
Continuing the topic of people who play the same game over and over and over and try to make it harder and harder. Hollow Knight has a vibrant randomizer community, and people have been played it a lot. One of the things that keeps it going is all the new settings that the community adds to the randomizer. Splitting, like, dash into you pick up left dash without being able to do right dash. Or starting without the ability to swim in water and without the ability to focus. Or putting a randomizer check behind every blade of grass. Do you think this dedication to making the randomizer settings more and more cursed counts as a form of silkposting? Follow up, what settings would you like to see added to the randomizer?
Okay. This is an interesting question because this is Kaizo a form of silkposting? Is it the original form? Is it the purest form? Is the purest form of silkposting making a level so like borderline physically impossible and then going like, hey, I made you something. You want to give it a shot? Maybe. I mean, that's an interesting train of thought to carry, because they are ultimately like expressions of like that trollish, that positive trollish spirit of like, you know, this like of a prank. They're both forms of pranks, and so I would agree. I think I've talked myself into it. Yeah. And I don't know. I have no ideas for the last one. My brain is a non-Newtonian fluid right now. I'm very tired. But
Thank you.
So you said Team Cherry would not put out that 2025 timeframe if they didn't see the end in sight.
At this point. The key thing here is I feel like they've been bitten enough times that I feel like they wouldn't put that window out at this point unless they had a degree of confidence.
Because it reminded me of one of the greatest Silk posters, George R.R. Martin. I believe it was 2018 on his blog that he continually posted updates being like, hey guys, something's coming real soon. And then by the end of this year. And then January 2019 was like, I honestly thought it would be out by now. So I wanted to know what you think would happen to the community as we inch closer to the end of the year and there's no further date given. What would happen if it's January 1st, 2026 and the game isn't out? And if that does happen, how the community will react if a new release time frame was announced in the future?
I think they actually eat E1331. Like, I think they cook him like a luau, and we just have to stand around aghast. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really hope Winds of Winter's good, though.
Me too. Thank you.
Something that I was interested in was your titling of the panel. It struck me that you didn't, I would imagine, purposely put Silksong in a panel at PAX,
right,
knowing that people might show up from it. But I wasn't sure, when you're talking about the idea of how much you kind of want to get in on the fun of the prank, right, versus discussing the phenomenon.
I feel like if I had made it look like a Silksong panel and it was filled to the back with, if there were like 998 people in here and 650 of them thought like Ari was showing up, I would probably need an enforcer escort out of here. There are limits. We troll within good taste.
Makes perfect sense. Thank you.
So aside from the like shitposting jokes, there is a lot of like kind of actual discourse about people with like somewhat real gripes towards Team Cherry about going radio silent. Assuming that development time wouldn't change, do you think that they were justified in that decision? And what do you think would change if they had kept consistently updating the community?
Given that the team is so small, I think like some people are just not good at certain aspects of all of this, and like public-facing communication is definitely one of them. I can really empathize with the fact that like, they discovered that like they were just not emotionally just skill-wise like equipped to be the people to stay on top of that, and they didn't want to like corporatize by like, it's like, oh, we're gonna hire a publicist who's gonna like manage it, we're gonna hire a social media manager. Maybe like they just didn't want to bring another person into it because they didn't want to have to like onboard a person. I don't necessarily like think that was the right decision, but I find it a very comprehensible decision. I'm very empathetic to why a creative team would like make a decision like that, even if it has had kind of negative effects and maybe some impact on maybe the lack of a person to handle that has in fact caused them stress above and beyond the avoidance, right? But you don't see the end from the beginning. You make the decision without knowing 100% how it's going to turn out. They made, like, the decision to go radio silent wasn't. They did not. I guarantee you. I don't know this, but I guarantee you they weren't sitting there December 2019 going like, you know what, let's put this update out and then just kind of, I don't know, shut off. Let's just stop talking to them. It's a decision that's made gradually over time. Like, you're just like, it's like, I don't have anything to say, so I'm just not going to say anything. And then suddenly you realize you haven't had anything to say for a year. And at that point, it's really easy to just continue not saying anything. And I think that's what's happened. It's a very common story. It happens to tons of creative people. And I think Occam's razor, like, just and you know, having the empathy that, you know, they're three blokes down in Melbourne just trying to make a video game.
Yeah, the difference between the eyes on them during Hollow Knight's development and the eyes on them during Silksong's development, I can definitely understand.
Yeah. The order of magnitude is because Hollow Knight's success was kind of a slow roll. You know, it gained its popularity. It was popular in 2017. It was vastly more popular in 2019, and it has continued to remain and grow in popularity. And that's sort of like gradual growth into like, oh, we technically own a like multi-million-dollar media property. That's very difficult to like even fit inside your brain if you're still just like, well, we fit in a Prius. What are we doing owning a $50 million media property?
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, so my question is kind of a logical following to that previous question. Speaking as someone who's a creator yourself, who puts out monolithic works on some kind of schedule with these kind of expectations, how do you think Silkposting, not just specific to Team Cherry, but for any creators in video games or not, do you think it has an effect on them and the schedule? Do you think something like Silkposting or the culture around Silkposting could hurt or help the chances of an eventual delivery or when it might happen? Or do you think it has no impact at all?
I think it has an impact, but the specific impact is going to be like difficult to predict and is going to be like really contextual. You know, mental state is fickle. Sometimes you're in a position where like having a laugh at yourself is kind of exactly what you need to sort of be like, oh, at the end of the day, like I'm making a video game. It's not that serious. Hey, and that like pressure relief like helps you kind of get over a block or something. And other times it leads to catastrophizing. I think that's an unknowable thing. But I mean, clearly there's a gradient in terms of how mean they are. I mean, there's some stuff that is kind of tasteless and not just like crass, but like actually like, hey, don't go there. So if you're gonna troll, troll from kindness, like troll with a sense of like mischief and levity, because it is easy for it to just be mean. Yeah.
Thank you.
Last question.
I seem to be the last question, so it seems like you're playing Legally Distinct Connect 4 against yourself now. And may I suggest with yellow in one of the middle rows to start? Thanks.
Well, that is great advice, but we are exactly on time. We have 62 seconds left. So that is a perfect time. Okay, so if we could put it back up just one last time. We've got, I don't know, Dan Olson shirts at Catawampus Inc. So that's movie. So if you're familiar with movies with Mikey and Film Joy, they're doing merch for me. So we've had those shirts up. We've got a bunch of them. They're really soft, and you can also pick up like, I don't know, a Film Joy shirt while you're there. No meet and greet after this. We might do a meet and greet tomorrow. If you're still here all weekend, I am going to leave those doors in 25 seconds and do a U-turn for the Super Eye Patch Wolf JoJo's Bizarre Adventure live podcast. Thank you all so much, everyone, for coming. It warms my cold, dead heart. And Have a great PAX.